So in our last video on this topic, we discussed what extended release formulations are, but now we'll discuss how they're made. So when it comes to actually making extended release formulations, there's a wide variety of things that have to be considered, and there's a lot of different methods that can be used depending on what type of formulation we're dealing with. But today we'll talk about 3 common methods on how tablets and capsules and oral formulations are made into extended release formulations. The first option is the reservoir system, where you'll have a core of drug that's then surrounded by a rate controlling membrane, usually a polymer like ethyl cellulose. What will happen is that polymer will slow down how fast the drug actually gets into circulation. The drug has to first exit the polymer and then get into circulation. You'll see a lot of different drugs use this. A very common drug that uses this is metoprolol succinate or Toprol XL. Then you'll have osmotic systems where you'll have a core of drug that's then surrounded by a semi-permeable membrane. And on top of all this, you'll have a little hole that's drilled on the top. What happens is that once this drug enters into the body, water will enter into the formulation through the semi-permeable membrane, mix with the drug in the middle, form a solution, and that drug will then exit through the hole on top. It gives a lot of options for the formulation scientists to actually control the rate better, whether that's through, for example, changing the size of the hole or using different polymers for the semi-permeable membrane, but it's a lot more expensive to make than other formulations. Some common drugs you'll see use this will be Concerta or Glucotrol XL. And finally, you have the most common method used in the industry, which is the matrix system. So the drug will be mixed evenly with a polymer, usually something like hypermellose, that will be formed into, let's say, a tablet. That whole thing will be made into a matrix, and then once that matrix enters into the body, the polymer will actually swell up. Inside it'll form sort of like a viscous liquid in a way. Then it'll act very similarly to the reservoir system, where the drug will have to first exit this liquid and exit the matrix to then get into circulation. It avoids a lot of the disadvantages that reservoir systems have, where unlike reservoir systems, the matrix systems can actually be cut or chewed. They're also very easy to make in the first place, that you just have to mix the drug and the polymer and then just form it into a tablet. They're also very cheap to make. Okay guys, join me for part 3 as we'll discuss how other formulations like patches are made into extended release.